find like sometimes it's easier to have off the cuff conversations because it's more, for what I'm looking for, it's like it's more authentic and more casual.
Yeah.
Relaxed.
Yeah. Hopefully I'm not bad at it. Don't let me say the word so.
Okay. I have words that I've already noticed that I say a lot, like, and there's words that I didn't think that would be like in my vernacular that have shown
you
up.
hear it and you're like, what the fuck? Why do I keep repeating that?
And my laugh gets me every time. Like people tell me how cute my laugh is like in person, but on here, like when I'm recording or I'm editing, I'm like, oh God, that's terrible.
Oh my God. No, it is cute.
But that's just how it is.
Okay.
All right, so we are fully recording now.
Ooh, okay.
All right. This week, I'm joined with my new friend, Monica.
New friend.
New
Hi.
friend. Yeah, I've known you less than 3 months, probably. Right?
I think we're in our 4th month, actually. We met in October.
Oh, that's right.
It's already the end of January.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, getting there.
Yeah. That's wild. So Monica and I met through a mutual friend. You were friends with Linda for a long time.
Yeah.
Like childhood friends.
Yeah, almost 30 years.
And then I met her here. She was one of my regulars and we became friends. And we bonded over the fact that we're both from Massachusetts.
Same.
And then you moved out here or came to stay out here for a short period.
Yeah, I came to cat sit for the month of October.
And then just haven't left. But you're not going to stay with us.
I'm not. I'm moving on.
I was so excited when I heard that you were going to like jump in, rent an apartment and just move to the island.
I tried.
was like, fuck, I like this chick.
You're like, that is a girl after my own heart.
Yeah, but it turns out you're not. You're going to leave us for the Netherlands.
I am.
That's really exciting.
6 days, 7 days.
That's really exciting.
8, something like that.
So, Monica, tell us a little bit about you and how you got to be here on this week's episode of Ducking Reality.
Oh, hi, I'm Monica Borgatti. I use she, her pronouns. This carryover from like work meetings, which I just left. I'm from Western Massachusetts. I lived almost my entire life there. I spent less than a year on Cape Cod, but almost exclusively lived in Western Massachusetts. Wow. Grew up in Agawam and yeah, I got here, like I said, cat sitting for a friend for the month of October, and it was a really cool experience because she introduced me to a bunch of her friends before she left. So I had a built-in network to get started here, and it is such a cool place in Alameda. I found that within a couple of weeks, I was already introducing people to other people who they hadn't known yet. So it was a pretty neat thing. Yeah. And I liked it. I was sort of in a place in life where it was time to make a move anyway. And I thought, well, heck, maybe I'll stay here. But yeah, that's sort of short-lived. But Alameda will always be here, so maybe I'll come back.
Yeah. Well, you came to house sit, and then you were like, you rented did you just get your apartment month to month?
Yeah, month-to-month lease. So, I mean, I guess I have to back up a little bit to say how I got here and like why I'm going so quickly.
Yeah, tell us more about you.
Sure. I just got back from Massachusetts after having sold my house and my car and my motorcycle, which, by the way, dear listeners, Siobhan and I used to ride the same type of motorcycle, which I think was one of the things that had us connected.
Yeah, we have a lot of similarity.
We do. It's nice. I'm going to miss you. You're clearly going to have to come visit me.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We'll definitely have to come out and check on you in a couple months, too, and get an update for everyone.
a little update for the listeners. So, don't let me say that again. I told you don't let me say
right.
So, came out here in October to house sit, but before I came out here, I had made plans to be here for the month of October, and then for the first 2.5 weeks of November, I was taking vacation in the Netherlands. And the reason that I was doing that back to back is because back in April, my longtime partner and I split up, and I had to make a big life change and move out of the house that we own together. And I thought, well, before I start house sitting, I'm going to take this trip to Europe because I've never been. So I arranged this vacation for after my house sitting, and the folks that I was going out there to see, my friend Heather was saying to me, you know, a lot of women, will make this big life change and they'll come to the Netherlands, like empowered women going to empowered women going to Europe to like remake their lives. And so she gave me this list of movies and shows to watch. And she said, watch these and be prepared. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be fun? And I started to look at jobs in the Netherlands. And then I freaked out a little because I realized how much work was involved in it. I'd have to find a company that would sponsor me to go there. And you have to change all of your banking and your cell phone and all of these things that seem like, well, those are just little things, but they all add up and they're causing some anxiety now. But I'll get through them all. It'll be fine.
You will.
And then October got here and I came to Alameda to pet sit. And I thought, oh, well, this is a big enough move, right? I have to move anyway. I don't have to go back to Western Massachusetts and buy a house. There's nothing that's totally tying me to that space anymore. So I thought I'd stay in Alameda, and I started to look at jobs out here and thought, well, this is really cool. I work in the nonprofit world. There are tons of nonprofit grant makers in the San Francisco area. I'll find a job here. This is far enough away. Like, this will be a fun experience to check out. And it was, and it is. And I pretty easily found a furnished month-to-month lease. And I thought this is perfect because I don't know exactly where I'm going to end up working. Will I be in San Francisco? Will I be in Oakland? Do I want to stay in Alameda to live, or will I want to check out somewhere else? So the month-to-month thing was perfect. And it turned out to be more serendipitous than I realized, because when I got to the Netherlands, I really did fall in love with Europe. The cobblestone, the medieval buildings, the castles, there are fucking castles, like real ass castles. And so I started to talk about it with my friends there, and they assured me that it really wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And then I just kind of said, fuck it. Why not? Why not? Like, people keep asking me, why are you going to the Netherlands? And there are more reasons, but the easiest one is, why not? I have the opportunity. I might not have this opportunity in a year or two. I don't know what sort of job I'll end up with, or like what sort of connections I'll have, or what if something happens with my health? Who knows? I might not feel like this in 6 months or a year or 2 years, that I could just get up and go. So I have the opportunity. Why not do it? Alameda will be here when I come back. If I come back, maybe I'll end up in, I don't know, England or Germany or Switzerland next. Who knows?
Yeah, I know. It's so exciting. I didn't realize that Amsterdam was kind of on your radar to move to before you decided to come to Alameda.
Yeah, it absolutely was. I started to look at jobs there, and I sort of freaked out a little bit when I realized all of the steps that were involved. Finding an organization or a company to sponsor you isn't as easy as it sounds. And I kind of panicked about that a little bit and thought, oh, this will be far enough. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it didn't, like, I know people need to do that to come to this country. Obviously, or like they should,
Legally, yeah.
But like thinking about how Americans go to other countries, like it's not something I've thought about too much. I have a cousin that lives and has been an expat for a long time. And so like there's things that we've talked about over the years, like he's had to come back and go back and forth depending on timing and things for his green card and visa. Mm-hmm. And now I think he's a citizen in Amsterdam and Portugal.
Oh, okay.
But so like, hearing things about that, but not thinking about like how, if I was going to transfer to go to Europe to live, like how all the things that are included in that.
Yeah, today I've been learning about wiring money internationally, and I learned that small town banks are really, really great until they're not, because you have to go in person to be able to initiate an international wire transfer. I am not going back to Massachusetts just to initiate a wire transfer so that I can send money to a new landlord in the Netherlands. It's crazy, right?
Oh, wow.
People are so excited about little small town banks until they're not so great because you can't do those sort of things online. So I have a workaround. It's okay. I have an account at a larger bank. So just transferring money from one to the other so that I can do it again. There's a lot. Yeah, but it's fine. We can make it work.
Yeah, you will. You will. Mm-hmm. So you have worked in the nonprofit world for a long time, but you don't know if that's where you'll stay.
I'm not positive that's where I will stay. I'm hopeful. There are a lot of international NGOs, non-governmental organizations that are based in Amsterdam or in The Hague, and so it's possible I'll end up working for one of those. My plan right now is to land in the Netherlands on February 2nd, and My fingers are crossed right now. Y'all can't see it, but they're crossed. I have a lead on an apartment, and I have an insurance plan Airbnb for the month of February. So if I don't land this apartment, I'll stay in the Airbnb for a little while. But to really get the ball rolling, I have to have an apartment where I can register at the address to be able to get a non-resident ID number that will then turn into a digital ID and help me get a Dutch bank account and help me open or start a Dutch equivalent of a sole proprietorship. And so I think that that's the route that I'm going, and I'll seek out some freelance work, hopefully with some NGOs doing fundraising work or helping them with their grant writing or even maybe grant making. So I've got a plan. It feels a little bit fly by the seat of my pants, but I have a plan. But I've been doing nonprofit work for I don't know, at least a dozen years, I guess, mostly in the world of grant making or fundraising.
How did you get into that?
How did I get into that? I used to work for a mechanical contracting company, and I was doing some like contract administration work for them, and I wanted to do more than what basically felt like secretary work. And the company that I worked for, I kept asking, hey, could I learn a little bit more of this, or could I do this thing? Or, hey, I'm ready to go back to school. If you want me to study project management or like construction engineering, like tell me what I can do to further my career here. And there was just no interest from them in letting me pursue any of this. And so that sort of made me realize that I guess that and the very last course that I took as a non-traditional undergraduate student made me realize that I wanted to do work that was more about bettering my community and society rather than lining the pockets of some local company. Or, I mean, even though it was a family-owned business, it still was not, it didn't feel good in my heart and in my soul. And I guess I realized that I have a bit of a voice, and I like to use it for people whose voices aren't always being heard. I like to be able to help amplify other voices in the community.
That's awesome. And it's amazing.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah. And I was just talking to someone about this the other day. I was saying how I don't, like we were talking about old jobs and stuff, and I was saying how I worked in a hospital and I've done this and that, and they were like, oh, I didn't expect that. And I was like, yeah, no, I wasn't always just a bartender. And I was, but I also decided when I left, I was working in cannabis for a while when I first moved out here, and I loved it, and I loved what I was doing. I loved changing the perception of it and getting people to understand like the medicine of it and what it can do. And I love that. And I wanted to stay in that space, but the guy I was working with or for was a douchebag. And I was like, I'm not going to keep putting money into douchebags' hands. Like, right. That's the one thing I can do. Like, I can not use my time, which is my most valuable thing.
It is. It's our most valuable commodity.
Yeah. And I'm not going to trade mine to give money to someone I can't support. So like, if I don't know you, I can't, like, I don't want to work for your company. Like, I don't want to give money to some stranger that I don't know who's doing God knows what. Like, everyone I work for is like small family owned or like single owned, and I know them and I know what they're doing. I know what they want to do. Like, I know why they're doing what they do. And like, all right, great. I will work for you.
Right on.
And that's like a privileged space to be able to be in. Like, and I can kind of recognize that. Like, I was in a place financially where I could make that decision and say like, okay, no, I'm not going to do that anymore. Like, I'm not going to just work for corporate that I don't know. And it's been a really nice, powerful kind of, I guess, almost self-esteem builder.
Yeah, it does. It feels good. I definitely took a hit in my salary when I went from the corporate world to the nonprofit world, and it took a number of years to get that back up there. And I feel a little bit nervous, a lot bit nervous right now to be leaving a very secure and stable job to not run away, because I'm not running away from anything, but to run towards this new experience in my life where I don't have a secure job. I'm going to sort of wing it. Yeah, we'll see.
And that is scary when you're, you get to be, we're both in our 40s and like you're newly single.
Ish. Yeah. I mean, almost a year. Yeah. Ish.
Was it hard was your breakup like the main reason for leaving, or had you thought about moving before that?
I had not thought about moving before that. So I would say that a little bit of the transition in my relationship, and I like to call it an evolution, because I think that we absolutely wanted different things out of our relationship, or we wanted different relationship styles. And so we were not the right match for each other. And so we're definitely both happier and healthier at this point. And so I think from the evolution of that relationship, and the fact that over the last handful of years, I really became more estranged from certain toxic family members. And I think severing those ties, coupled with the end of that relationship, made me realize that I'm not tied to Western Massachusetts anymore. And so I could absolutely have gone back to Western Massachusetts after being here for a month cat sitting, and then taking vacation in the Netherlands. But to what?
Right.
To the same place that I've lived for 45 years, where it's beautiful there. It's lovely. Everything is very nice. It's less expensive than it is here or in the Netherlands. But it's the same thing that I've been doing my whole life. Why not try something new and different?
No, I mean, I completely agree. Yeah. But I'm always curious in what motivates someone to do it, because for my own self, it was like I left a relationship. I needed some space from my family. I love them all, but it's really hard. Like, I have a huge family. So when you have that many people who think that their opinions and their thoughts are like facts and what you should be doing, and you get a lot of input on your life, sometimes it's really overwhelming. And for me, I was like, I can't keep like trying to explain to 18 different people why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, it's just not how I can operate.
Yeah.
And like giving myself that space, especially after I left my relationship, which was we were together for a long time. It was like, what am I doing? And like, I gave up kind of some of my dreams for him, which is what you kind of do in some parts of a relationship. There's that give and take where you have to like give a little maybe and take a little less than you want or something. And I was happy to do that for a long time, but then I was just like, no, I won't ever do that again.
I've definitely
excuse me.
I've definitely learned that, oh gosh, how do I say that? I've definitely learned about myself and the types of relationships that I am looking for, seeking out, comfortable being in. And so, interesting. I don't know. Are you familiar with Dan Savage at all? He talks about how just because a relationship ends, it's not a failure. And I feel like this relationship was not a failure. It really did evolve into, we evolved as people, and our relationship evolved along with it. And I think it's really freeing. You're talking about not wanting to have to sort of explain all of the things to all of these people in the family. And it's really freeing to not feel like you have to answer to other people. Taking the space that I did, or making the space that I did between some of my family members and myself, it felt really freeing to not feel like I had to be there to answer to or support or do all of the things when certain toxic people called for me, to stop feeling like I owed them something just because they were blood relatives. And it's been really empowering, rewarding, a little bit sad sometimes. Like over the holidays, I was a little bit trying, but you surround yourself with your chosen family, and that feels pretty amazing. Thanks, Robin. I love you.
What helped give you like the confidence, or like the skill might not be the right word, but like gave you the tools to kind of give yourself that separation from those people? Was there one thing, or was it just?
I think mostly it was time and feeling taken advantage of too many times. You just hit a point where you're like, what the fuck am I doing? You stop and think about the advice that you might give to a friend, because the advice that we would give to a friend is always different than the advice we follow for ourselves, right?
Yeah.
Even in toxic relationships, like, would I want this for my friend, or would I want this for my daughter? No. Well, then why the fuck are you doing that for yourself? Not that this has anything to do with my recent breakup. I'm thinking like a
Right.
breakup before that, but we often will give advice because we know it's better or more healthy, but we don't always take our own advice. So I think it's just a matter of time and realizing that I didn't owe somebody something just because they were a family member.
Yeah. I think that's a really valuable thing to learn.
My father also passed away. Like, I think my dad passing, I was also estranged from him, and that's like a different grieving process when a parent that you're estranged from passes away, because you sort of thought you already did all of the grieving for the relationship, and then it's so final, and it's a whole different and weird grieving process. So I think that perhaps him passing away maybe helped push me a little bit to say, okay, like what else?
Right. Like he was the last kind of thing connecting you to these people, even though you might not have been connected to him. It was like, oh, maybe even a way to stay connected to him a little bit with them in your life.
Yeah, could be.
You know, I always like to armchair things because I'm always, people just fascinate me. Like the confidence to change your life. Like I can see so many people that want to change their lives, but they don't do it. And it's like, is it so scary to change it? Or is it so scary to live in that place where you're just settling? Like which one is scarier? I think the settling to me now is scarier.
To me, the settling is scarier because I've got all of these plans lined up to make big giant change. And I guess I really have, even just signing a lease and deciding to stay out here rather than going back to Massachusetts after my vacation, changing that flight from the Netherlands to come back to California instead. That was a big move. So I think to me, that settling and staying still is the scary part now. Though yeah. I'm not going to lie, I'm terrified about all of the little pieces that I'm trying to check off all of these boxes on my lists for Netherlands move. It's terrifying also, but...
So is the Netherlands like you just picked that because randomly, or is it because you have friends that are there, or is it because one of those movies that you watched was like, this is the place?
It's absolutely because I had people there.
Yeah.
November was my first trip to Europe. And while I was there, I saw a few cities in the Netherlands, and I went to Belgium and I went to Switzerland, and they were all quite lovely. But I would say it's definitely because I have some people in the Netherlands that feels like sort of a safe place to start. And while I may not end up super close to them when I get there, it's a small country. I mean, it's just kind of a small continent. Everything is so close there. I think having people there made me feel a little more comfortable in doing it. And interestingly, the people who are there are, it's the brother and sister-in-law and two of their children related to my ex, who's still in Western Massachusetts. So they moved out there in June last year, and my ex and I had been talking about this as they were planning for a couple of years. We kept talking about how we were going to go out to visit them, and we like I said, we split up last April, and it was very amicable. We cohabitated in our shared house for right up until I came out here in October. And we kept saying that we wanted to go visit them in the fall. And when he never really made any plans to do it, and I was getting ready to come out here and thinking about the fact that I had to buy a house when I was done pet sitting here, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to take a chance. And so I reached out to the ex-sister-in-law and was like, hey, so don't know if you heard, we broke up and I'm going to have to buy a house in the fall. Do you think that maybe I could come visit you in the Netherlands before I get tied down to a mortgage again? She was so excited. She said yes so quickly, and then followed it up with, yes, and our space will be available on this date and this date, and we have a house guest this date, but the room opens up again on this date. So she just laid it all out to me in such a way that was saying, absolutely, you must come, and you must come during these times, and absolutely you're welcome. It wasn't just like oh, yeah, sure, that would be fun. Let me know when you're thinking.
Right.
It was a yes and come during these time frames.
Right.
So
yes, and this is when it would work best for us to come if you can come during this time.
yeah, exactly.
Really kind of making it a plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Making me feel super welcome to do this thing. And it's been really great to, it was great to go out and visit them. It was great to see the Netherlands. And it's been really cool to have her as my cheerleader. She's agreed to go look at apartments for me before I get there. And she and her husband have given me a little bit of a checklist to help me prepare for it. So if I were going to another country, I could still use some of the things on that checklist.
Right.
But I think being a single person doing this on my own, it feels like a little bit of a safety net to have some people there. So like I said, I don't know how long I'll stay there. The residency permit that I think I'm going to end up with starting my own business there is a 2-year permit. So it could be that I'll be wildly successful, and after 2 years, when I go to renew that, I'll stay even longer. Or it could be that I'm wildly successful and don't love the Netherlands and decide to do this somewhere else. Or it could be that I'm moderately successful, and really, what's the worst thing that happens? I come back to Alameda. Oh, the horror. Like, it's so bad here. Oh my God. But really, the worst thing that happens is I come back here with all of these new life experiences. Yeah, there's no wrong answer to it. There's no bad ending.
Well, and I think that's sometimes the thing that stops people from making decisions too, is like they feel like they can't go back. Like, once I do this and this is my new normal. And it's like, no, you can always change things. Like, if you've done, and it's not a failure. Like, when I first moved out here, I was out here in California for, I don't know, probably 8-9 months. And one of my friends was like, you seem so happy and this and that. She's like, I want to come. And I was like, fine, come out. I only have a 1-bedroom, but it's huge 1-bedroom. We'll split it. We'll put a bed on the other side. We'll put a curtain up if we have to. And like, come check it out for a while. Come move here. You're like, you don't like your life. You want to get out. You've been talking about leaving your small town. So she came out and she was here for, I think, 2 weeks the first time she said to me, I'm leaving.
Oh.
And I was like, dude, you have not been here for 30 days. Like, give it a chance. Like, really just like, and it was still too much. She left on the 30th day. And like the last week she was here and she was like, I think I'm going to leave. I think I'm going home. And I was like, all right, then, you know, if that's really what you want to do, like, do what you want to do. Like, if you don't like it here and it's not your pace and it's too busy and it's like, you know, too crowded and too many people and it's just too much, and that's fine. Like, go home. Like, how do you want to do it? Like, do you want me to drive back with you? Like, let's figure this out. And she was like, I just feel like I'm failing.
Oh.
And I was like, but you're not failing. Like, you left and you tried it. Like, and she's like, yeah, but I haven't even been gone a month. Like, who cares? You did it. Like,
Right.
How many people in your small town have talked about leaving and never done it? I'm
Right.
like, and now you're going to let them make you feel bad because you tried? I'm like, you tried it. You got out to see. You saw we drove across country together. Like, yeah. Like,
motherfucking girl power.
like what? I'm like, what is failing about that? And I was like, you really have to like change your perspective on it. I'm like, because what are they going to, like, you, I was just kind of so like, why are you letting some people that have never tried make you feel like a failure because you actually did it?
Exactly.
I'm like,
Yeah.
isn't that the point? Like, you tried it, you did it. You were like, oh, I don't like this. I do like my small town. I do want to go back. Like, that's empowering too. Like, that you know what you don't like and you know what you do like.
It's been pretty magical. And the days that have been sort of the roughest for me, where I have high anxiety around this giant move that I'm making and I start to panic and wonder if I'm really doing the right thing, never fail. Someone says to me, wait, did you move to the Netherlands? No, not yet. I didn't. And their response is, well, when are you going? That's my dream. Not necessarily the Netherlands, but just to go to Europe. Like, that's my dream. I had a girlfriend say that to me recently. If I didn't have to finish raising my kids, I'd be right there with you. And I'm like, sucker.
You could give them away.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding.
Feed them to a dragon or something. I don't know.
Don't they have homes for unwanted children?
Oh my God.
No, I'm only teasing. I mean, I don't have kids for a reason, but
well, I mean, I don't have living children, but if I did, my world would be completely different. But yeah, I don't really believe that things happen for a reason. I think that's like a shitty saying, but
yeah,
I don't know. if I did have living children, my world would be completely different. And so maybe some days I think, oh, I guess everything turned out okay. I wouldn't be able to do this in another circumstance.
Yeah. I didn't know about your...
You didn't?
I did not.
Oh, is today like you're just learning that I don't have living children?
Yes. You had mentioned something a few minutes ago about, you talked about your daughter, and I wanted to ask, but I didn't want to.
Oh my God, I'll talk about her all day.
Well, yeah, I would love to, because I mean, I do love children. I had several miscarriages, but I had never wanted children. So those miscarriages to me were kind of like the universe being like, yeah, okay, you gave this option kind of to your husband of the time, like, because he really wanted it, but it was not your thing, and it's okay. Like, so whenever it happened, I was kind of slightly sad, but more like almost relieved.
Yeah,
which
no, I
sounds
get that.
kind of terrible.
Yep. No, it's not terrible. There are days where I think, wow, I can't even imagine having some little asshole sitting on my couch, like making a mess of my house. Gross. And then there are other days where I think, well, shit, she'd be 9 in a couple of months. Like, who would she be? What would she be like? So she is Josie. Josie Danielle was born in April of 2014. She would be 9 this year. Josie lived for 18 hours. She was born premature, and she spent all of those hours in the NICU. And it's sad, but it also has really helped shape who I am and my outlook, and in some ways my humor, which is really twisted. But yeah, so Josie, if she were here, I probably wouldn't be here in California. I certainly wouldn't be on my way to Europe. Yeah. But like I said, she's definitely helped shape me, and I believe that she has brought some meaning to the world, and she has absolutely helped other families who've experienced loss. For a number of years, I volunteered with a group called Empty Arms Bereavement Support, and I would spend time in hospitals bedside with other families who had just experienced loss. And sort of a volunteer, mostly volunteer run. They have a couple of part-time staff, but mostly volunteers doing peer support and really hugging other lost mamas and telling them that this shit sucks and it's unfair and it's super shitty, but that they're not alone. So while the nurses in the hospital can say that sort of thing and offer some support, they're also running around to all of the mothers that have living babies still. Right. And they don't have the time sometimes, which sounds horrible, but they don't have the time that a grieving family needs. So to be able to bring in volunteers to sit with them, to sort of explain some of the things that might be coming, and to listen to them, and tell them they're not alone. And then to be a resource to them when they leave the hospital. So the nurses are great and they can be a resource while you're in the hospital. But once you leave the hospital, you're not leaving with your nurse's cell phone number to text. So for the peer companions who would go in and spend time with the families and with the babies too, for the moms and or dads to be able to leave with a cell phone number, and you swap that. So every few days afterwards, you're checking in. How are you? What's going on? Do you need to talk? Do you need anything? It's pretty magical, I think. And the families don't always stay in contact or don't always respond, but it's not uncommon that the organization will hear years later from one of the family members, the time that you spent with us in the hospital really made all of the difference in the world. Or even though I didn't respond, the text messages that you sent me every couple of days really kept me going and helped me feel like I wasn't alone and knew that someone was there if I needed them. So
that's an amazing, amazing group to be tragically connected to.
Thanks. I think so too. I say that the volunteer work that I did with that organization really was my daughter's life purpose unfolding. So she lived for 18 hours and her short life helped me help so many people, and in an exponential way, because there's one mother in particular who I'm thinking of, who decided to become a volunteer with the group because of the support that she got when we visited her. And I stayed in contact with her, and it's like crazy precious to walk into a hospital room knowing that the family who is in there is grieving their baby who just died. And you walk in and there's an auntie holding this baby. And, you know, I don't know if it's a woman thing or just a human thing, but you walk into that hospital room and the auntie is like holding this baby who passed away and sort of like rocking it almost, you know, just the same way that you would if it were a living baby. It's amazing to see families trying to spend time with and almost bond with and create some memories with the family. So yeah, I don't know if there's anything like that where I'm going in the Netherlands, but maybe I'll find out.
You have to create it.
Maybe that's my calling in the Netherlands, to bring empty arms to Holland.
And it kind of similar and morbidly, I was just thinking, well, they probably have a lower birth death rate too. And like the fact that I always go to like I need to like, because I like when people say everything happens for a reason, I think, no, it doesn't. Like for exact moments like that. Like there is no, I mean, granted that you found some meaning in it and like you helped other people from your tragedy, but there are people that also don't come back from those moments. And I don't think like that happens so that those people don't come back. Like I think some shit just fucking happens. I think lots of things happen. Yeah. I think lots of things do happen for a reason, but I think lots of things just fucking happen too. Like it's a random chaos of the world.
I actually looked it up and I wish I could remember the exact statistic, but I feel like it's you're 30% less likely to have an infant die if you're in the Netherlands. And then maternal mortality is also substantially lower in the Netherlands. I want to say that maternal mortality is like 70-something% less likely to happen in the Netherlands than in the United States, which is like super crazy. So I feel like I'm going to fact check that for you and get back to you on that. But
well, I mean,
it's wildly outrageous, the death rate for the infant mortality rate and the maternal mortality rate here in the US. It's really pretty shitty.
Yeah, it's like one of the highest in the world.
Right?
Which is insane.
Go America. The fuck?
Yeah, we have the best hospitals in the entire world, but we also have the highest infant and maternal mortality rate. It's like hard to wrap your brain around.
Totally.
It's like, oh, because we just don't care that much about women. Like, that's a really over exaggeration of simplicity, but
yeah,
also
I think it has to be looked into a little bit more. I think that race comes into play, and I'm not sure I want to go down that rabbit hole in this conversation, but I do know that
race is a big factor.
Yeah, absolutely. The maternal mortality rate among Black women is outrageously high, and I think for infants as well, they're just not taken as seriously maybe by medical professionals as we are as white women.
Yeah, and that's a rabbit hole that I will get into at one point when I have someone here that I can like, and I've done the research too, like, you know, and I have those numbers and I try to figure out, because at one point I will want to talk to someone that's working in that space to try to change that and say like, what else can we do? Or what else can I do? But also like, how does that happen? Like, I also have a big thing against racism, not that we'll get into that, but like, I don't understand how you hate someone you don't know, or you hate someone because of how they look or who they like, all of that.
Or
like
they're
any
less
of the,
than.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I used to I got into a huge fight with my ex-husband at one point, and it wasn't really about race. It was about this drug addict that we knew. It was like a homeless guy that we see all the time. And one day I gave him some food or something, and my ex-husband kind of gave me some shit about it. And I was like, I was like, it's not your food. You're not going to eat it. Like, what does it matter? Like, that guy, I haven't seen him eat in like 4 days. Like, and I would see him all the time. And he was like, well, that guy's like, you know, you shouldn't give him this, kind of like he's less than you are. And I was like, he's not less than me. I was like, he's a person.
He's a person.
And he's like, but he's this and I'm like, I could have been that. I was on fentanyl for 3 years. Like,
one different decision.
Right. I'm like, because I'm lucky enough that I beat my addictions. Like, I don't have that personality. Like, I mean, I do have that personality, but like, I'm strong enough that I don't give in to those things. Like, that's the only difference between him and I is our circumstances. Plus, you don't know what happened to that guy. Like, did he get hooked because he got hurt at his job that he used to make 6 figures at, but now he's on heroin because he can't afford anything because he got into, like, you have no idea what made that person where they are. So why do you think you should judge them? Yeah. And who do you think you are to judge them? Like, if you don't want to deal with them, then you don't deal with them.
Him anymore.
One of the many, many reasons. But I was just like, fundamentally, at that point, I was like, fundamentally, as people, we are totally different. Mm. Like, and I think I always kind of knew that, but like having him try to tell me I can't do the things that make me who I am, that's when I was like, I can't, this doesn't work anymore.
This doesn't work anymore. You evolved.
Yes, I evolved, and he did not want to evolve with me.
Too bad for him, because you're pretty great.
Thanks. You know, I have my days. Yeah, so our split up was not as amicable as yours. But it is what made me move too. Like, it gave me the freedom, because I had always wanted to leave Boston. I loved it. Mm-hmm. I loved that city, and I loved being there, but I also hated it. I also have a family that's ginormous. So whenever I would go places, it would be like, oh, that's my cousin. Oh, that's my cousin's friend. Oh, that's my third cousin. Oh, that's so-and-so's. Like, but because Boston is not a big city.
Right.
It's really small. When you have over 100 first cousins, they permeate everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I a couple times, like, out seeing, like, my second cousin, who I would see, like, until my 20s, like, a couple times a year. Like, we were all real close, which is kind of weird, too. But I would like go places like parks and stuff and be like, oh, what's up? Like, who's that? Oh, that's just my cousin. I don't know. It's like second, third, whatever. Like, we're related. We don't care. Like, we're going to see each other at a family function within the next, you know. So it was just that. And I was like, I need a little space from that, too. Mm.
And you think you found it here in Alameda?
I did, but I keep realizing that I basically live in a fucked up Hallmark movie
where I've really small city.
Yeah, and I've yet to find some guy that just makes my life like, whoo, fixed.
Oh, that is a fucked up Hallmark movie.
Like, there was one morning when I was here, and I was like, probably a year and a half after I moved out here, and like things opened back, because when I first came out here, everything was closed too.
Okay.
So for my first year, I didn't really meet anyone. As I moved out into California in February of 2020, everything shut down in March. I moved to the island in April of 2020 when everything was closed. And so, like, that was it.
Wow.
It was an
interesting time to move.
Yeah. And it wasn't until things started to, like, open back up that I really met people. So the first year here was really isolating and a little bit hard, but I had come off of being kind of isolated and alone because of my injury. And then when I left my ex, I basically lost all my friends too. And so I just was like held up in my parents' house, like, what happened to my life? How did I get here? Doing all that stuff, like going to therapy, getting healthy, trying to figure out how to move forward in like this new body that I had and all that stuff. And so when I moved out here, I was like, yeah, I'm going to like live it up, and I'm going to have my sexual revolution, and I'm going to be wild. And then the universe is like, bitch, you're staying home.
I love sexual revolutions.
Have you had a sexual revolution? I ask leadingly.
I would say yes, indeed. So we're going to say, let's hope my ex-partner's family don't ever stumble across this. When I say that we evolved, I absolutely identify as a polyamorous person. Ooh. And while he attempted this, he does not at all identify as a polyamorous person. And so maybe that's probably also part of what made our separation a lot more amicable. Like, he realized he needed something different, and he wanted something different. And in the end, it's good for both of us, because we're able to live our lives the way that we choose to, without feeling like the other is hampering us or trying to make us open up too much.
Was that a hard thing to, because I'm guessing you guys didn't go into, because you said you evolved, so I guess you guys went in as like a traditional relationship.
We did. Interestingly, about a year, not quite a year before I met him, I met someone on Tinder who I'm still connected with to this day. We're very good friends, and our orbits have sort of gotten wider and closer over the years. But I feel like we will forever be connected in some form or another. So I met the first person that I knew who was polyamorous, and he introduced the word to me. And as soon as I started to read about it, I realized that, holy shit, that's exactly who I am. I didn't know that this was acceptable in the world, because we're taught that the only way to be is monogamous. Like the only way to live is to have one partner. And you do this like was relationship escalator thing where like you date and then you move in together and then you get married and then you buy a house and then you have babies. I fucked all of that up.
Power to you, girl.
Thank you. And so when I first started to explore polyamory, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. There's a lot of communication. There's a lot of, I don't know, there are a lot of challenges. It's like all of the challenges of one relationship multiplied. And so it's definitely not easy. But I think when I first started to explore it, because I had come from this world where everything was very traditional, cis, hetero, monogamous, this is what society says you're supposed to do. Coming from that world, I was really missing having the built-in everyday connection of a one partner relationship. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe it's fine. Maybe I can do this. And then I met my ex. And so we started out as a monogamous couple. And maybe 6 or 8 months in, I show up at his house and we're supposed to go for a walk in the woods. I won't use the word hike because I walk in the woods. I don't really hike. I guess hiking is maybe breaking a sweat. I don't like to break a sweat when I'm walking in the woods. So I show up to go for our walk and I'm like, okay, are you ready? And he says, no, I think we need to talk. Sit down for a minute. For a moment,
words ever.
Well, I almost felt relieved because he says, well, what's going on? You don't seem the same. And then I thought, okay, well, here's my chance. And he knew the type of relationships that I was exploring before we had met. And so I said to him, I feel a little bit stifled in our relationship. I don't really feel like I'm able to be who I really am. And I'm really curious about what it would be like for us if our relationship were more open. So together we read the book More Than Two, and we would read a couple of chapters and then talk about what it would look like for us. And at that point, he wasn't committed to opening up, but he was at least committed to learning a little bit more to understand it better.
Right. So he was at least showing you he wanted to at least try to meet you and see what you were interested in, which is a sign of a good relationship.
Right? Really cool. So we read through the whole book and then he said, okay, let's try this. And so we did. And it wasn't great, but it wasn't the worst. I would say that we both tried really hard to make it work. And it's very, very clear that we both loved each other very much. Mm. And in the end, it wasn't for him. And that's okay, because in him admitting that it wasn't for him, it also made me feel a little bit more free to be the person who I wanted to be, who I knew that I was, and to be able to explore the types of relationships that I really wanted. So it helped me to recognize that monogamy is a hard limit for me. And for anyone who's listening that doesn't know, no, that does not mean that I just want to sleep around with anyone and everyone. It means that I want to have the opportunity to explore relationships and connections with people for what they are and what they could be. And that I would rather have meaningful relationships with people in my life and not have to cut off one connection completely because there's some other connection that I'm curious about. I think our society is funny about monogamy. They're like, no, you can only sleep with one person at a time. So when you're ready to sleep with the next person, you have to stop sleeping with one so that you can sleep with the, like, it doesn't, why are you going to throw away a
But you
completely
could sleep with both of them at the same time.
And then you, yeah.
But you can't sleep with one and then the other.
Well, I mean,
you know, it's like a weird, like.
You could sleep with both at the same time and then somebody would just call you a cheater.
Oh, I meant like you can have a threesome. Or
like
you
that.
can have one
right,
or the other.
Right. Yeah, like that's okay. Right. As long as there's not like relationship involved.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Society doesn't quite understand it yet. But I'm seeing it more and more.
Well, especially here in the Bay.
Mm-hmm.
It is huge. Like when I first started to kind of dip my toe back in the dating pool, it was like everyone out here is poly, everyone is in open relationships, everybody wants, like, I'm like, wait, so is everyone just having sex? Like, is this all just a lot of sex?
No, it's
like,
a lot
one,
of fucking
am I
communication.
in? One, how do I get in? Two, how do I do it without having the guilt? Because I still have a huge Catholic guilt.
Oh, yeah.
I am trying. But like, I'm trying. Girl, I'm trying. That, and I'm like, not petrified, but I am slightly terrified of like bringing people back to my place that I don't know. Like, I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Like, that gets you murdered. Like, like now people dash like dick, and I'm like, but like you're not supposed to like. You know what I mean? Someone's just like, oh, I want, like, here, come on over. Like, wait, how does that happen? And how have you not gotten murdered? Like, that's truly, I think, where my biggest fear comes from.
Well, I have not DoorDash dick, but I did Uber Eats more a vibrator when I first got here. But you know, it's funny. The really, really cool, really, really cool part about being in polyamorous relationships and having someone to connect to who really understands it. Like, it's super cool when I take a screenshot of someone's contact details on my phone. People are like, why would you take a screenshot instead of just sending the contact to someone? I don't know, because I'm like a Luddite. I'm old. I don't know. But when I share contact information about a date that I'm on with a partner, and I'm like, hey, can you just make sure if I don't check in with you by such and such time, here's where I am and here's who I'm with.
I mean, that's smart though.
Right? Like, so I can do it with a girlfriend, or I you know, sometimes I have a partner that I do it with too. And that's probably the best because I don't know. It's just really cool that it's really cool to have people in your life that you can be that open with, who understand who you are as a person and are happy for you when you make that kind of connection. Do you know the word compersion?
No.
Ooh, it's one of my favorite words. Compersion. Yeah, it's the feeling of being happy for someone that you love when they experience something that brings them joy. So it can be used like you see your child learn something new and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so overjoyed. I'm so happy that my child is excited about this thing. Or completely opposite spectrum. You could be completely enthralled and excited for a lover or a partner who is experiencing something new with a different partner. And, you know, it's not all sexual, people. It's also, it's just about relationships and building and growing and learning new things with other people and feeling happy that you have a partner who's learning and exploring something new and exciting for them. I don't know. It's cool.
It does seem like it comes back to sex a whole lot, though.
Sometimes.
Like, just to be honest, like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone I know that is poly is generally, like, scheduling. It's, like, half surrounded by sex. Like, well, I see this person on Tuesdays and we do this, and then this person's for Thursdays and that person's for Fridays, and it's like, well, are you scheduling like actual like time out together, or is it just scheduling sex?
Yeah, I would say it depends on the relationship, right? Sometimes it is just sex, and what's wrong with that? Like,
nothing.
Get it? But sometimes it's also dates.
Right. Yeah, no, it's scheduling time to spend with that person, but it does seem like it always comes down to just sex. Like,
so what?
Which is also, you know, I'm just mad because I'm not having any right now.
Oh.
That's what that comes down to.
Womp, womp.
Womp, womp, womp. No, I am, yeah. I am interested in poly and I can see a lot of the benefits of it. I also don't know yeah, like I'm open to it. I'm open to kind of anything too. Like, because I did grow up in the same kind of, Boston's very Irish Catholic. And my family was very much like, that's what you do. Not that's what you have to do, but that's what you do. And I, from a young age, was like, I'm not going to get married. I'm not having kids. Like, I'm not falling in that trap. I'm going to travel. I'm going to have my own life. And then I kind of fell into that trap. And then I was like, wait, what happened? So now I've kind of changed it. So I leave myself open to things and to people. And I feel like what's going to happen is happening. And I really see the benefits of a poly relationship when it works well. But I also see kind of like the downfalls of it. It's like, it gets to be a lot about sex. It's like, I've seen like where one of the partners is kind of a little bit more devoted, and then the other person is like, well, I have that person to kind of take care of all these needs, but I'm still going out and having all the sex. And so that's always like, and I think that's where the communication comes in. It's like, you have to be really, really open and really honest, I think, with yourself to make the poly thing really work.
Absolutely. And there are different types of open relationships. Some people are open and it is just about sex, and some people are poly and it is about the relationships. And it's interesting, you were talking about time earlier, and I've had people ask me, well, how many relationships is too many? Well, how much time do you have to spend with other people and still make sure that you have enough time for yourself? And that's sort of where that comes from when I say time is our most precious commodity. You agree with that, right? Like, we can't get more time. We only have so much time. And the way that someone chooses to spend their time says a lot about who they are. And I think one of the struggles besides communication with poly relationships is jealousy, and how you process it, and if you can even process it, because not everyone can. And it's actually one of my favorite feelings. I think jealousy is really interesting. She just made the most puzzling look at me. So
I did. I was just like,
it's so interesting because I don't really think jealousy is a feeling, but I think that jealousy is a label for other feelings that we have. And it might be insecurity or fear of missing out or self-doubt or just any number of things that you're feeling, and we just call them jealousy. But until you start to, like, you feel this thing and you're like, oh, I'm jealous, but you don't really understand why. So you have to be brave enough to sort of pick at that and say, what is it that I'm feeling? Am I jealous because my partner is spending more time with someone than they're spending with me? Am I jealous because I think that my partner's new girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is prettier than me? Am I jealous because I think they're smarter or they have a better job? Or am I jealous because they're going on dates that include different experiences? Or like, what is that? What is it that you're really feeling underneath just the word jealousy? And while I don't think that it's my responsibility to make anyone else feel less jealous, it is my responsibility in some ways to sort of assure my partner that I do care about them, and I think that they're beautiful or handsome, or I think that they're important, and that I value their time and the time that we spend together. But it's not my job to make them happy, right. But it is my job to assure them that I care about them and that they're important to me. And I do that in words and in actions for sure. But jealousy is really interesting. And I think that it takes a lot to be able to kind of pick away at what it is that you're really feeling, and then have the courage to bring that to your partner and say, hey, I'm feeling jealous. But I need some assurance from you that that I am important to you, or that maybe you're not telling me often enough that I'm pretty, or maybe I need to hear more of that. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but you need to be able to have the courage to look inside and see what it is that you're really feeling, and then the courage to reach out to your partner and say, hey, I'm feeling this. I could use a little reassurance, or can you help me kind of move through this? And if you're not able to have that kind of open communication, it's not going to work. That jealousy, whatever is underlying, is just going to eat you up, and it won't work.
Have you been a jealous person before? Or are you a jealous person?
Oh my God. Not now. No, not, well, that's not entirely true. I still feel twinges of it sometimes. And then I laugh at myself a little and I try to investigate what it is that I'm really feeling. But before I realized that polyamory was an acceptable thing in the world, I absolutely felt jealousy. I was like a horribly jealous person for sure. Yeah.
I see. I've never been a jealous person, but I felt that twinge. Like I have felt it, but it's not like I'll be like, ooh, like, and that's usually my like, ooh, like is kind of my first like, no, I should be happy for that person, and like their joy doesn't take away from mine,
right? Like this is not pie, people,
right? And but like back in the day, like if my ex was like kind of, because he was such a flirt, it never bothered. I'm like, he can flirt with whoever. I know he's going at the end of the night, like. So that was a kind of always my like, oh, good, he's having fun. Like everyone should be having fun.
Everyone
you know what I mean?
Like
Be
having fun. Yay!
Like that's what like the goal is usually to be having fun. So like that never. And plus, like I know where he's coming. So it was always like that trust of, well, yeah, he's just chatting. He's just whatever. Like it's not anything. And there were moments that I found things and was like, hey, what's this? Where I was not jealous but pissed. Like if you want to go. Like hang out with this chick, just tell me about it. Like, because if that's what you want to do, like, let's just call it. Because I was kind of always like that. Like, if this isn't going to make you happy, like, let's not do it.
Right. Like, hiding it's just worse.
Yeah. And because I was like, that will make me hurt. Like, if you don't want to be with me anymore and you want to go be with her, then go be with her. Like, I'll get over it. Like, I'll be sad, but I'll get over it. Like, I don't want you to be here because you're obligated. Like, that to me was the worst feeling. Like someone doing something that still to me that like I can feel myself like don't
out of obligation. Yeah. Ew. Gross.
That to me, like I'd rather be a little jealous but not feel obligated than to have someone be with me because they feel obligated. Yeah, I think I'd be all right with being poly.
Yay!
Because I do like. I mean, I get different people give you different things. And that's okay too. Like, it's okay to know that you can go to this friend for this kind of support and not that friend.
Right. Yeah. It's so interesting to me that we don't feel jealousy the same way over friends. And we're not concerned, like, we're new friends.
Right.
Did you suddenly start liking the friend who introduced us less? Fuck no.
No. I was like, hey, thanks for introducing me to another cool chick.
Right? So, yeah, we don't like our current friends less because we've made a new friend. We don't like our existing children less because we've had a new one. It doesn't work.
That might be true.
Well, I don't know. I'm bad at making people. So... yeah. Anyway, it's not pie.
It's not pie. But yeah, no, that's a great way to look at it too. Like you don't get like I mean, I guess some people do get jealous of their friends, but most of the time you're not jealous of your friends. You're just happy for them,
right?
So that I get why you would want that to transfer over
and
into
even
relationships.
The jealousy that you just mentioned with friends, it's about something else. It's not just jealous. What is it? Well, am I worried now that my friend will have less time for me? Am I worried that my friend thinks this other friend is more exciting? And I guess, I don't know. Part of the magic of polyamory for me is knowing that I can appreciate a relationship for exactly what it is rather than lamenting about what it is not, and really wishing someone were different in this aspect of who they are. I can accept them and the relationship for what it is and appreciate what it is, because maybe I'm getting that other thing somewhere else. I mean, maybe I'm not, but maybe I am. But Siobhan, you don't have to be all of the things to me as my friends, because I can get other things from other friends. And that's the same thing with romantic relationships.
Yeah, see, I haven't thought about it in that way, and in that way, it makes total sense to me. Because I do think, one, we have gotten into the habit just out of the traditional relationship kind of thing, is that one person has to be your everything. Like, and that's so not true, and it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Which is why, like, the divorce rates 50%, if not more.
Especially since we all evolve. Like I said earlier, we're all growing and evolving and we're changing. And so not everybody changes in the same way. And it just doesn't make sense to me to cut off and end something that's feeling good and working in so many ways because it doesn't work in this other way. And sometimes that other way is sex, but sometimes that other way is other things too. So I don't know. Monogamy is a social construct.
It is. But it also sounds like the poly almost gives your relationships more room to breathe.
Yes.
Because you're not so focused on that one person and that one person being your everything and them giving you all the things. You're like, okay, this person gives me so much of what I need. And that's great. So when we spend time together, it's this.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we're not together, I can get this stuff from this person. And it's kind of giving your relationships almost more love or like acceptance.
Oh, your laugh is cute.
Yeah, that is, I mean, because it's giving that relationship, like, it's not putting all those expectations that usually come with a relationship.
It's freeing.
Yeah.
Right?
Because the expectations is generally what kills it. Like, they're not doing this that I want them to do, even though I probably haven't told them, or like...
Oh my gosh, yeah, even though I probably haven't told them. Communication is it's so important. And I think that in most traditional monogamous relationships, we're pretty bad at communicating. I mean, even in friendships, we're bad at communicating. Just in general, we're bad at communicating what we want and what we need. Sometimes it's because we're afraid that we're going to offend somebody or that we're going to feel a little bit greedy or that, I don't know, that we're going to hurt someone's feelings by letting them know that this isn't quite right. But there is absolutely way more communication that's happening in polyamorous relationships. Not all the time, like they're not perfect for sure. And it's really hard to communicate and juggle all of that communication. But I think that generally speaking, people are more open to having honest communication about things and needs. And yeah, I don't know.
I think the other thing about poly that makes me a little like sometimes hesitant is the having like multiple people that I've been with in one room. That to me just feels like it would be really uncomfortable.
I literally just said to someone while out this week, I was sort of planning to give my attention to someone else tonight. Like I basically asked someone to leave where they were because I didn't want it to seem like I was with them this week. Oh,
so like you.
Yeah. So I've experienced this in an unexpected way where I was
so you're like out on a date with one and another suitor, we'll call them, came in?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, I wasn't really on a date, but yeah, basically that's what happened. And it was the first time I had that very brave conversation where I was like, listen, I didn't really plan to be hanging out with you tonight and you're here. I was hoping to hang out with someone else. And so, and the really cool thing is he gets me, he sees me, and he was like, all right, peace out. See you next time.
Nice.
And it was a little uncomfortable at first, but because we know that that's who we are and what we're doing, it was easier to say, right? Like, yeah. But I've also had experiences where I've had double dates. My ex-partner and I, we did like a glass blowing class where I brought one of my other partners and he brought his other partner, and we had a couple of other friends there. And it was a little bit strange at first because it was the first time we'd done it, but it was fine. It was good. Like, I think part of it is knowing sort of who you're with for the night, which sounds a little crazy. Wow. We've gone down quite the rabbit hole.
Well, it's just,
but yeah, it's part of it is like setting the expectations from the start to like, what are you doing tonight? Who are you spending your time with tonight? It's an interesting thing to navigate for sure.
Yeah, that sounds.
And it's actually really, really cool when you are friendly with your partner's partner. So the term for your partner's partner is a metamor. And I've had a relationship where I've been very close with my partner's family and spent time with his wife and his kids. And even here, there's somebody that I sort of dated a little bit and got to know his girlfriend as well. And she's lovely. And it was a really cool experience to have to sort of get to know both of them in different ways. So it can be a little bit strange, but it also can be incredibly rewarding, really.
No, I mean, and part of me gets it because like I have exes that I'm friends with and like I've met, like we'll hang out and have a drink and I know their current partner and like that doesn't feel weird. But I think if maybe I was still sleeping with, I don't like, that's where I'm like, I don't like, but that's like one thing, you know what I mean? But I don't know, having 2 or 3 people in a room that I'm dating or like that seems like too much to me.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I certainly wouldn't want 3. I mean, I don't even really want 2 unless it's planned.
Yeah. And that's probably not out in a bar somewhere.
Hey, super nice to see you tonight, but I was planning to give my attention to someone else. Do you mind?
But the amount of like balls that it takes, invulnerability, like that's like, those are like competing feelings that you have to get in line to do that.
Yeah, it was really interesting for me. And I'm super glad for the experience. I can check that off the list.
Well, that's kind of the best part about this stuff like this that happens is like, it's a great story.
You're learning and you're growing and you're learning more about yourself for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that has to get pretty introspective pretty fast.
Uh-huh.
And you must also have to like have a degree of knowing what you want.
Oh God, yes.
Like that has to be like the first, because how do you, like,
yeah, knowing what you want is huge. And well, like I said, as my relationship evolved and changed, my last long-term relationship, it absolutely helped me know what works for me. I know that it's incredibly hard to date someone who is a monogamous person because they don't necessarily understand. And maybe they're open to learning and maybe they're open to exploring it in some ways. But I've learned that it's way easier to date someone who understands polyamory and really is polyamorous themselves. Knowing who you are and what you want is super important in all aspects of life.
So you don't think it would it have worked if, and like just hypothetical and just because we're shooting shit right now, but like if your ex had been like, I don't want to be open, but you can be.
Oh God,
would
that
have
totally would have worked. But that wasn't for him, and that's fine. He really wanted someone who he felt was dedicated to just him.
Right. Well, yeah, which is
no
perfectly
fault.
understandable feeling.
Yep, no fault in that.
I was just wondering because I wonder how often that might happen too.
It does happen sometimes. I know couples who open up their relationships maybe because one is asexual, but then I also know couples who open up their relationships and it's a poly-mono relationship where one partner doesn't want to see other people, and one does because that's just who they are, and it works out just fine for them. It's not for everyone, and it doesn't work for everyone, clearly. But I don't know, relationships are dynamic.
Yeah, and I think it's like we get so into defining things now and labeling them, especially like in the last few years. Like everything has to have a label and has to be like fit into this neat little category. Yeah. And it's like, why? Why? Life is messy. Life is complicated. Like you don't need to label everything and stick it into a nice little box.
No, the boxes are not always neat.
Right. Like life can be a little messy and you can have a life that doesn't look like anyone else's, and that's okay too. Like if you are being honest and you're not hurting anyone, then however you want to live your life, in my opinion, like go for it.
I think that's the key. Honest, like open, honest communication is key for me.
Yeah. I think it would make everyone's lives a lot easier.
Right? I think we would just be upfront and communicate. We're not mind readers.
No. But you think that, I wonder if that's so hard because so many people don't even know what they want. You know, they think they want this thing and then they get it and they're like, oh, this isn't really what I wanted. I just thought it would kind of fix this. And like, so is it that people are so closed-minded, or is it that they kind of like are sheep and they've been following what they thought life was supposed to be like, and then they don't get it, or they get it and they don't like it, and then they're like, but I don't know how to change it. So like, I'm just gonna.
I think it might be yes and.
Yeah.
And I think we're also super impatient, just generally speaking. And so we like run to this thing and we're like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this.
This is going to be the thing that saves me.
I'm going to try this monogamous relationship. Just kidding.
I'm going to try it for 7 years. And then when it doesn't work, I'm going to be like, I don't know why it didn't work.
I'm going to try the Netherlands. No, just kidding. That's totally going to work.
No, yes, it will. Yeah, I mean, I came out to California with like no real plan and like, fuck it, let's see what happens. And it's been almost 3 years now and I couldn't be happier.
Nice.
And I'm not saying like that's what people need to do is move to California, but like move, do something.
Do something.
Get out of your
Don't
comfort
be stagnant.
zone. Yeah. Because I think getting out of your comfort zone, like either traveling or moving or doing something that you don't normally do, it's a way to get to know yourself better. It's a way to figure out what you do and don't want.
Yeah. I mean, they say that growth doesn't happen in a comfort zone, right? So whether it's a relationship or it's where you live or like how you live,
yeah,
it's important to try new things. Absolutely.
And you get to be a different version of yourself when you go someplace new. Like you coming here, and when I came here, I got to slightly like not change who I am, but I get to be like the more evolved version because I don't have the expectations.
Right. You can sort of shed those things that you didn't love and you've been hanging on to because it's what people know of you or expect of you.
Yeah. I think that's been one of my biggest kind of blessings in the move is being able to be like, oh no, okay, this is really who I am and it's okay and people like me. And when I go back home, I can be like, oh, I don't have to be that version.
No, you don't.
Like,
this is the evolved me.
And if you don't like it, there's the fucking door.
Yes. So this is, I feel like at 45, I am more myself than I have ever been. And I've always felt that. I got into my 30s and I was like, okay, 30s are great. I feel more like me. And then I got into my 40s. 40s are great. I feel even more like me. So I'm super hopeful that in 5 years when I hit 50, I'm going to feel the same way. But I think that in the last year, I have grown in ways that have really helped me to understand who I am and what I want and need out of life. And I am the happiest person that I have ever been. For real. And even though things feel a little chaotic and I don't have a total game plan for where I'm going and what I'm doing, I feel comfortable about it. I feel good about who I am and what I'm doing and where I'm going. And I've never felt so much like myself in my entire life. It's amazing.
That is awesome. That's like the feeling I want for everybody in the world.
Right.
Like that's really like, I want people to just be at peace with themselves and happy and comfortable in their own skin.
Yeah, this is me. And I'm glad that you like me.
I do.
But if you don't, that's your problem, not mine. But I mean, I'm nice as can be and I'm not a mean person, but I also don't need you to like me.
Yeah, that throws people off. Right. When you don't need, like, there's a few people that I've come across that I'm like, it's fine that you don't like me. And they're like, well, I'm like, it's okay. I'm not for everyone. And they're like, and then they'll be like, I can't even believe she said, like, why? Like, if you don't like me, like, that's cool. You don't have to. I like me. Maybe most of the time.
You don't have to like me. You don't have to agree with me. Yeah. It's okay.
Just don't be a raging cunt to me. Yeah. Don't go out of your way to be a dick and we'll be fine. Like, I get you don't like me. I can show you respect and give you your space without.
We could be friendly without being friends.
Yeah. Or cordial.
Cordial. Are you offering me a drink?
Yeah, I mean, I think you need one. Should I grab one?
No, I'm okay. I'm okay.
All right. Well, I thank you for this whole conversation, by the way.
Speaking of liking
you. Yeah, it's been a pleasure to get to know you. It's been a pleasure to learn, I mean, everything here that we learned about you, but like everything I've learned about you and the time we've gotten to spend. I can't wait to come visit you in the Netherlands and see what you build there.
I think it's going to be amazing.
I mean,
what I build and your visit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, what you build, that's what I'm going to see.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Well, let's call it for this time. We'll see you in the Netherlands.
Awesome.
All right.
See you soon.
All right, y'all. You'll have a good day and find some joy.